Okay, I'll soon be posting a video on sous vide, chicken cordon bleu. But came across, and then I also posted a video on how I did stuffed pork loin chops with wild rice stuffing. So I'm going to try something slightly different. And you can see that I actually already butterflied this, and I may just, you can use the edge of the knife or, a meat tenderizer mallet. Oh, just a second here. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I could, I butterflied this out by basically just cutting it almost in half, almost to the edge, and then then cutting from the center back out, to further spread it out. So I'm going to go ahead and show that process. So this is actually partially frozen pork loin, so it's frosty, but not raw or not completely thawed out. It's probably I don't know how I'd say the temperature is, but it's, like I say, it's frosty. So I split it in half. I might have to just do it slightly more. Then I can take it. Once you got it cut to the right depth, should probably just lay it most flat on the other side. And then once I have that done, I can take, I'm going from the inside here, and I'm just going to try to butterfly it out a little bit more from either side. Okay, so obviously when you're doing this, usually recommended you have a sharp knife. So, and you make sure you know where your fingers are in relationship to the where you're cutting. But you see that this is probably butterflied out. Now more so than like if you butterflied a chicken breast, then flatten it out. It's slightly flatter than that, but the whole point is that what I'm going to try to do is utilize the same technique that I utilized to make, stuffed pork chops or chicken cordon bleu. Basically make some, basically rolled, wildlife stuffed pork loin here. And so you got something that's pretty thin. And the whole reason I'm starting to use this method or do it this way is because after you put it in the sous vide for like I say, the stuff I'm doing currently is only at 130 degrees for about 2.5 to 3 hours. But when you have something that's as thin as this, and you put it into a frying pan, it wouldn't take more than a few minutes before it was actually. But I want it as flat as possible so I can actually put the stuffing in it and have as much stuffing in there before I actually roll it up. I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, well, do I want to actually roll it up, the two pork loins together and roll it up like that, which I probably might end up doing, or I can just, do each one separately. But I guess I'm going to let this sit, and I got to let my stuffing kind of thaw out because I threw it in the freezer. But I made, if you actually put it edge, this pork loin edge to edge, so they overlap, and then was able to roll it up with stuffing in it, and then cook it. The whole thing would actually hold together really good. So, but the whole problem is that it might be kind of difficult to roll it up like it is. But what I may do is I may just lay out the tin foil and lay out some saran wrap on top of it, and then get everything precisely kind of laid out, and then season it, and then put the stuffing in there, and then see if I can actually roll it up as one big piece like that. So I'm not sure yet, but I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to just probably, if you've watched my video on how to make cordon bleu, I'm pretty much just using the same kind of method for this. So what I'm going to do, I got tin foil on the table or on the cutting board, and I'm going to put some saran wrap, plastic wrap, whatever you want to call it, on top of the tin foil. I'm going to lay out my pre-prepared pork loin. I pounded it out as thin as I could, and it is kind of not all perfectly without holes in it, but that should be fine. So I'll do one other thing before find it. Maybe not. So anyway, I'm going to just try to put the smallest amount possible of seasoned salt over the surface. And then I got wild rice stuffing that I made previously. Kind of, I'm not really saying, what you have to do this with. I'm just, showing it with what I have. I mean, you can use stuffing, you can use, I don't know, whatever. I just, just cheese. I'm not here to tell you what you have to, put into this before you roll it up. I'm just, showing you the concept so you can actually do it yourself. So, obviously I'm using wild rice stuffing. Obviously it's going to probably appear quite a bit different once it's taken out and actually cooked and I bread it. I'm going to spin this around the other way. But this is so thin, I'm just going to be able to roll it up like this. Try to make sure I keep everything wrapped within the pounded out pork that I have. And so end up with I'm just trying to make sure I don't keep most of the stuffing in the pork loin rather than on the outside of it, but clean out the excess. Move the pork loin more closer to the edge of the saran wrap. Roll it up. Try to get everything as tight as I can within there. And then I can make it even more tight in the aluminum foil. Not rocket science. So this kind of looks, this is basically stuffed pork loin chops, you know, with, you know, it's going to be rolled in, you know, basically in there, and, you know, when it's breaded and covered with gravy. It's going to be really good. But that's kind of the process right now. Like I say, I'm just showing you a process so you can utilize it yourself. It's not, there's nothing cutting in stone as far as cooking goes. So just cook with what you like. But, you know, this will work actually sous vide. I'm going to drop it in there for, first I'm going to freeze it, and then when I drop it into the sous vide, when it's frozen, I will only have to cook it for, like I said, 2.5 hours and it'll be done. And then I should be able to take it out of this wrapping and it'll be really firm and then, you know, easy to handle, and I can actually then put it in, you know, clean it up a little bit and basically just egg wash it and flour it, and or flour it and egg wash it, and then deep fry it, and it'll look really good. But anyway, I'll show you that when I get there. Okay, this is the only video you actually watched. You won't have seen this before, but obviously if you watch the other video that I did on doing chicken cordon bleu, you see that after these have been cooled off and set in the refrigerator for a while, I'm going to unwrap them, and I usually just put it in a Ziploc bag until I get around to using it, but it's been prepped so that it's ready to go, or be breaded and ready to go in the fryer. So obviously the only difference between chicken cordon bleu and stuffed pork loin is or the, you know, it's the same process, just a different meat. So remember when I did the video, there was some, you know, cuts in the meat, so the stuffing is showing out. Not an issue. It's not obviously flowing out in any way. It's just on the outside of the meat. So after they're breaded and fried, you know, they will not, obviously you won't see that stuffing anymore unless somehow the breading process didn't cover it up, which is unlikely. So the whole point of this is as I probably mentioned before, is that, you know, the same procedure can pretty much be used for chicken cordon bleu, which is, you know, I use thigh meat. You can use white meat. You can use dark meat. You can use any kind of cheese you prefer. You can use whatever type of ham you prefer, and or you can just, you know, use some other kind of meat. You know, like I say, in this instance, I just basically decided to use pork, and you know, the obviously, if you watched through the whole video, you know, obviously I showed the, you know, the pork is very thin when I originally rolled it up before I put it in the sous vide, but it's kind of an important part of the process, which, I'm kind of just doing this from, you know, doing so. It's actually something I've never done before, but the reality is that, it's not really rocket science. You're just basically, you're cooking something and sealing it so that you can later bread it and fry it, and it's heated up and ready to serve. And you'll obviously, when it's cut up, you'll be able to see that there's going to be a spiral of stuffing throughout the roll, and they're just little teeny things like this. I'd probably eat two of these, and plus mashed potatoes and gravy, and some type of vegetable. But this is just enough for a meal for me. So I'm going to rinse them off, and I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag, and then we'll come back to it later. Okay, I decided I'm going to have pork tonight. And so what I actually did is I took these out, out of the refrigerator and let them sit at room temperature for a while. And I'm going to bread them and get ready to fry them. So just going to use a little bit of seasoned salt in my flour and my breadcrumbs to make sure they're not bland. Then I'll just basically roll them in the flour. Try to make sure that I cover all the surfaces. Kind of got to pound the end. Then into my egg wash. Then into my breadcrumbs. And if you thought it was necessary, you could actually add more. Put it back in the egg wash and then do the whole process with breadcrumbs again. Probably isn't necessary, but I'm just showing you the concept. And like I say, there is stuffing or spots in the meat were broken, and so the stuffing could possibly leak out there, but I don't think after go through the process of breading them that the stuffing will have anywhere to go, so it'll be fine. So, but I guess it isn't going to hurt to make sure there's enough breadcrumbs on them to have a good crust, so that might possibly prevent them, from or anything from leaking out beyond the breadcrumbs into the fryer when I'm cooking them. But I guess I can't say for sure. So there we go. We got 2 breaded pork loins ready to go. I believe the deep fryer is ready to drop them in, so I'm going to go over there and drop them in. Wash my hands a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to flip the cutting board over and use the other side. I'm going to put everything back in the microwave for just a bit until the chops are fried. Come on here now. I actually just picked this knife up. Can't even really pronounce the name, but professional chef's knife. It's Willing, made in Germany. You know, I'd had a chef's knife, a 10-inch chef's knife for over 10 years. And I actually dropped it and chipped off the handle. So what I actually did is I sent that old, 10, 20-year-old chef's knife back to them, and under warranty, and they sent me a replacement. So after using that knife for over 20 years in restaurants and everywhere else, they still replace it under warranty. So what I'm going to do, okay, ready for service for one. Okay, you can see that this did still split open, but nothing leaked out. So I'm going to put both of them on the cutting board because I'm just going to cut one up to put it on the plate. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a difficulty with the breading staying on it, but this is what we have. Very thinly cut pork loin with stuffing all the way through it, rolled up. So if I let the other one set for a little bit, they should be fine. But I'm always hungry by the time I get around to getting everything cooked. So there we have it. Stuffed pork loin with wild rice stuffing through it. I guess I can say it's sous vide.